What started as an exploratory meeting between Bill Lair, General Anderholt, and General Vang at Vang around January 6, 1961, set in motion a series of events that will profoundly impact the Hmong community in ways that we could never imagine. However, the series of events are one that we are familiar with as a community. It is a cycle that our people have relived for generations. It is the same footsteps that our ancestors have walked. It sets us on a journey of unimaginable losses, opportunities for rebirth, a path to prosperity, and most importantly, a sense of hope. 14 years of a secret war on behalf of a nation that denied its existence. 50 years in a country that did not want us because they presumed we lacked the ability and skills to make it here and would be a burden to America. And yet, here we are. Against all odds, just like our ancestors before us, we have not only survived, but we are thriving, we are competing, but more importantly, we are positively contributing to this greater community. The only constant in life is change. Change is upon us again. We are at the precipice of the next technological shift. Artificial intelligence has the potential of impacting lives in a more profound ways than any of the previous technological shift in human history, starting with the steam engines of the 1700s, railroads, telegraph, mass assembly, and the stock market of the 1800s, electricity, telephone, automobiles of the early 1900s, computers and the internet in the late 1900s, and currently smartphones, cloud computing, and social media. As you can see, these shifts are becoming closer and closer together. This new world will bring about opportunities that we cannot fathom, but also add challenges that will test every fiber of our being and will be the greatest test for our community in this land of individualism. To best position the Hmong community for success, it is critical that our preparation and our core value remains the same as it has been in the beginning and passed down to us for centuries. My mom passed away a number of years ago, and during the preparation of her funerals, we had gatherings at my brother's house. There was a gentleman that kept coming by, talking to us, helping us along. Never met the man before, never saw the man before, but he was there all the time. As we got closer to the funeral, and as the funeral started, I pulled him aside one day and I said, I really want to understand who are you and how are you related to us, or if you are related to us, and why is there such an interest in my mom's funeral? You see, my grandmother died before my dad was barely 2 years old, so we never knew my grandmother. And this gentleman who told me his name was Nya Hyung Yang, he said, my grandmother and his father were brothers and sisters. In the Hmong relationship, the Hmong extended family, that means we call him Tzi Nya Hyung, which means father Nya Hyung. The minute you add the word Tzi or father to that name, the connections of generation came together. That is the strength. Luju the bitch could in Jamoya beke could dig and naked jang. Luju no ya luju could job belu or gay talk bemo they make. Luju no ya luju could belumo celebrate talk betal jong. Ya bemo your nya or gay jijo hyong tande. Bây giờ tao tổ bé cái đi cái này cái trang của chính chính. Họ từ bé bông bé cái đi cái này cái trang là để bé bông bé mông là. As many of you travels, I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I travel and I see a group of Asians, you can kind of tell if they're Hmong. You don't know how, but you can kind of tell if they're Hmong. And then when you hear them speak Hmong, Even though we're from Minnesota, the largest concentrated Hmong in urban America, and we see Hmong and hear Hmong every day, when you hear them speak Hmong, there's a little flutter in your heart that says, oh yeah, Hmong. Oh, yeah, okay. Our language and culture must be practiced and kept alive. If we cannot speak the language and do not practice the culture, then we become observers and we lose our connection. When we are no longer vested, then it is no longer important. We must keep the basics of our culture. Ego beche mon hale nyoto mo beo ju tao bete ke plu ke to e kha ku lu sao do tu to na te pe pi lo chan da ja chen nyo mon he ta tlang ta kho ya tu to la te pe sang mo ja chen nyo te pe ta ja kho e ko beo ku ti nyo ke mo. It will be modified. Our practices will be modified. Every generation, and it is every generation's responsibility to modify it, but it must be kept. History has shown us that the fastest way to destroy a people is to eliminate the language and the culture, as conquerors have done to the conquered people throughout history. Everyone has talked about it here. In my life, I've had the pleasure of speaking to a number of people. And in one of the sessions in which I spoke to after the conversation, a young man came up to me and he said, I want to be just like you. And I said, well, that's flattering, but what are you doing now? And he says, well, I quit school. I got 2 years left in college, and I quit school. And I said to him, to be like me, you got to go back and finish school. Because we all need a base knowledge. A couple years later, his dad called me and thanked me because his son did go back and finish school. And then a couple years later after that, my daughter and son-in-law is building a house in Woodbury. We're sitting there in the room waiting for the pre-con meeting like Jeff and I do all the time. In walked this young man that a couple years earlier I said, you gotta go back to school. All right. As a developer, that's where you start. He is on his way. We must encourage, in fact, we must demand and pursue education with vigor. If there is one thing that has propelled our community in the last 50 years, it is education. We have moved our community 300 years forward because education was made available to us. It is still the great equalizer for every community, especially ours. Even though the vast majority of our elders have no education, they realize how important it was and encouraged and pushed it. We must do the same for our children and younger generation if we are to stand a chance of continuing the Hmong community moving forward. I understand, in recent history, it has been celebrated that success is not defined by education. But I'd like to point out that the average IQ score for an average American is 100, which is probably most of us in this room, we hope. Every generation, there are those that are blessed to be above that. In this most recent generation, we have a lot of them. We have Bill Gates at 160, Mark Zuckerberg at 152, Elon Musk at 155, Jeff Bezos at 150. What I'm trying to say to everyone here is that most of us are not blessed at that level. So education is still the greatest equalizer that we must push forward. As we push forward, we must be proud to be Hmong. We must infuse our value, our core value in everything that we do. Bây giờ tao rong xa, bây giờ tao đua xa ta nữa, sợ giờ mong lăn chỉ bây giờ yêu lu mong, bây giờ mong cứ mong tìm mong này mong chẳng, bây nào mong trong cho. Everyone in our profile of Hmong success tonight enjoy the fruits of their hard work personally. but also adds to the success of the Hmong community as a whole. Mary-elect Vang ran to turn St. Paul around and thus benefiting the residents of St. Paul. But the morning after she won, the state of Minnesota and the country got a little bit of a glimpse into the Hmong community. And I'm sure that if you're Hmong, that morning after she won, we all held our heads just a little bit higher. We walked with just a little bit more purpose. Our elected officials, our entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, professionals, our SGU soldiers, our Hmong leaders, our Hmong neighbor down the street, Hmong students and our elders, we all have a part to play that will impact the Hmong narrative, both negative and positively. For everyone that is in a position of influence, every action that you do is a reflection on you personally and the Hmong community. Many times you don't need a profound statement. Just a simple picture or video on social media is still all that is needed. It has the potential to tarnish and discourage our community or to elevate our community. I implore you, please choose your actions wisely so that these are actions that will encourage and elevate our community. So where are we going? Where is tomorrow? As I look to tomorrow, I see a future of unlimited opportunities, a rebirth of a more perfect and just Hmong community where there's a place for all, a place for everyone in our common prosperity, and a beacon of hope for Hmong in Minnesota and around the world. We are where everyone wants to be. Regardless of our politics, regardless of our differences, regardless of our grievances, if given the chance, we all would rather be here than anywhere else in the world. And that is a blessing. That is a gift that our elders and SGU soldiers gave us. Where else in this world can Hmong children born on the mountainside of Laos, suffered in refugee camps in Thailand, live in public housing in Minnesota, educated in public schools, do what we do today? We are the living manifestation of our ancestors' dreams. Thao sao nó na ma guchi moanchi gusang che lulu do be cholen so tu yao na o zi yao gu ti yao nei o cha yao cha no yao o gusang thao ko van chi ya shao bu gong ya zi bong gong fong mong do me cholen so tu na ma e go me chi sa mo ma mong ge zo sha do me zo ju do me go men tu pe nya nyan de nu nyan dao mo lu o lu gao tong pe yao mi tu mi nyo na ma e guchi mo anchi gu jo mo fa lu lu no to me se e o me chao ke mo no me che te me lu shi ha ton tu pe gong ku bao ha ta pe wi nyon de jo ta shi ma bia ta chi jiao xiong tla mo no pe lu mo mo ke jong sha mo no pe lu mo bu pe zu ke wang meng mo no pe lu mo ôm bao số ha ta chi jiao xiong tan de ne pe ku tin ning cha mo yo mo zu tu e pe che yo ya mo bé chỉ nhỏ nhỏ, của chú cao lu xuân la, chú cụ luôn trọc cậu, chú bé lại hạ tàu hạ ta bé chỉ nhỏ mông, ôm mấy chỗ là trâu nữa mà.